The Mental Rep.
Welcome back to The Mental Rep, a district podcast where we dive deep into the complex topics of training, nutrition, and recovery with a roundtable, well, I guess two-person table discussion with the top leading professionals in the industry. My name is Daniel Blay. I'm your host with my co-host, Neil Portolano.
What's good? What's good? Hey, Daniel Belay.
Oh, man, guys. So we have a fun new segment that we're going to be diving into today with the classic Dan and Neil mess around.
The classic.
It is our first time, but it's the classic. We're going to be listening to some TikToks that are trending all over social media, TikTok specifically. And we're going to dive into, hey, if our clients came to us today and brought us this TikTok, asked us what our thoughts were, we're going to dive into what we would say to them.
I'm actually like really scared because I don't know what is in store.
So I've listened to all of them so far. Neil has not yet. So I'm pretty excited to see how this goes.
Oh my gosh.
It's a classic Dan and Neil mess around.
Jump rope is one of the most effective ways to lose body fat, but there is a specific method and way that you should be doing this in order to make it more effective. I'm going to show you. Nice and simple. 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Repeat 15 to 20 minutes.
What the? So just like Tabata training.
Yeah,
like,
basically Tabata. I guess more so interval training specifically. I guess Tabata would be considered more of like 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off for a specific 8-round kind of cycle. And that's how you define Tabata. But this guy kind of goes into a little bit more with, I guess, like just interval style training for 15 to 20 minutes daily. So Neil, if let's say one of your clients came to you and said, hey, I saw this TikTok, we need to start jumping rope. What would you say?
So if you're my client, I'm like, so Dan, like why do you think the jump rope's gonna help you get to your goals or lose fat quickly?
Well, clearly this guy with 100,000 likes on TikTok said it.
Okay. Is there any like research backed by it? Like, has he had any like, scientific data, or like, has he done this with his clients? Is there anyone who's done this?
I'm not too sure. He looked pretty good on TikTok.
He sounded confident.
He had his shirt off.
Yeah.
Had a little lab popping out, but
I think the number one thing is, you know what? Look, if you want to try it, we can try it, right? But you're going to have to do it every single day. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you really want to do it, fucking do it. All right. But, at the same time, I would just be like, hey, you have your goals, and it's going to be specific to what you want to do. If it's strength training, if it's going to be losing weight, whatever it is this going to be the best thing for you to do? And how can you recover from your training? You know what I mean? Adding on to it. If you can't, then, maybe we should do something a little bit less intense than jump rope. What was it? 15
to 20 minutes, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. So about 15 to 20 rounds of basically jump rope sprints.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's not going to help you get to your goals. You know what I mean? Because you're going to be moving, you're going to increase your work capacity, your calves are going to get bigger, I guess.
Calves are going to get fucking
forearms are going to get jacked, and
those lower extremities.
Yeah, your cardiovascular system, will obviously get a little bit stronger and better, faster. I don't know. I just feel like it's maybe like TikToks like that just kind of serve the purpose of like, hey, like try this quick trick for like losing fat, but it's really not the reason why you're losing the fat. It can also be a plethora of reasons, like your nutrition, your training program, and what your goals are.
Yeah, and even sleep, stress, and recovery.
Exactly.
I really like what you said, where you said like it's not exactly the worst thing that you can do, because it's clearly moving, intervals like that, they can definitely yield a lot of short-term benefit. But obviously, like a lot of people don't know how to jump rope, don't have the simple coordination to. And even though that's something that I think can be beneficial for a lot of people because it's a small piece of gym equipment.
Yeah.
It's something easy to do. You can do literally anywhere that you have a little space. But, like you said before, it's a lot of impact on the joints. It's not exactly the easiest thing to do. And doing sprints like that on a regular basis, just doing something over time,
so hard to recover.
Over and over and over again. Yeah. There's a lot of risk for injury and then overuse kind of injuries like that specifically.
Yeah. He said every day.
Yeah. Every day, 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, every day.
I mean, if you kind of like talked a little bit more about ramping it up, because it sounds like he's kind of talking to everybody, and I guarantee 9 out of 10 people, actually probably like 19 out of 20 people aren't jumping rope right now. So diving into something like that right away can be pretty detrimental in the sense of, hey, it's almost like if you've never ran before and you're like, hey, I'm going to run a marathon now.
Yeah. And I think that maybe proposing fitness tips for that, like maybe just trying to ease in the viewer, maybe saying, hey, work up to this and try to hit like 3 minutes or a minute, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
First, try to do that first, you know, for 5 rounds maybe.
Yeah.
And then slowly work your way into it instead of just being like 20 minutes, you know, nonstop, you know?
Yeah, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off.
Yeah.
And look, honestly, if you've ever done that on, like, even gone for a jog or a sprint or did some kind of high intensity kind of interval training for 20 straight minutes, it's a lot. It's
hard.
Especially when it's the same exact movement.
Dude, I remember I took a boxing class and it wasn't like a fitness class. It was more of like we're in the boxing gym, right?
Yeah.
And I just did whatever my friend was doing. And at the time he was boxing. It was before COVID. And the warm-up was literally like 5 rounds of 3 minutes, right? Jump rope straight, right? Would rest for 1 minute, right?
That sounds terrible.
And it was horrible. My calves were burning. I was sweating. I don't know why I was wearing pants and a long sleeve, right? And knowing I was going to box, I was just like, oh my God.
Was that when you took it with Teresa?
Oh, no. That was a different.
Okay.
Yeah. But I went with it was actually a boxing gym.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But dude, after that, I was just like, how it's like doing the sled, you know what I mean? Like what I did with the Darsh. I was dead. My legs were dead. But you know, I wouldn't have my client do that from the get, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I
wouldn't
say,
have 90% of the population who do work out do that.
yeah. So I think that advice is you know.
Look, honestly, I like I will say the one thing I do really like is he preached consistency.
Yeah.
And preached, hey, try and do this for a small amount of time, 15 to 20 minutes on a daily basis, which I think can really yield a lot of really good benefits. But the modality that he talks about, so in the sense of something that's a little bit more challenging for most people between the overall stamina, the coordination, the intensity, the lack of potential recovery.
Yeah.
I think it's really challenging to kind of push that to the masses.
Yeah, I agree.
We can talk about more like, hey, go for 20-minute walks daily. You're probably going to burn a stupid amount of fat.
Yeah, every day. It's easier to do.
Even do that.
Yeah.
I was actually just about to ask you guys. So is there something else that you guys would recommend? Obviously not like to that extent, but to help out and still give some feedback to the people that watch that TikTok and realize they couldn't handle that.
Are people going to hear you, or are they just going to be so confused hearing your voice?
Okay, Eric.
Okay. Nice. Honestly, like kind of what I said before, if we're just trying to get into it, depending on where your overall fitness level is at, and we're looking for weight loss, some form of physical activity is going to be really helpful. So one of the things I usually do recommend for a lot of my clients early on would be, if we're trying to do something almost on a daily basis, let's build a habit of something as simple as walking 10 to 20 minutes a day, or even just doing some low intensity cardio in addition to if they're not exercising. So when I say exercise, something specific towards fitness.
Yeah, I agree with Dan 100%. And if you want to do something similar to that, I mean, not similar, but a little bit more challenging than just a walk, an incline walk, right?
Oh,
You
yeah.
can do an incline walk and then do it the highest setting and around 3, what is it? Miles per
3
hour?
speed?
3 speed? It's
Yeah.
3 miles per hour. Three
Well,
speed.
yeah, no, it's 3 miles an hour.
Okay.
You're right.
But yeah, and
We'll
that's
see.
something that you can honestly progress to. If you like, if that's too hard, then start at 2, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or 1, and then just like increase the speed slowly.
And look, honestly, like if this is something that you really find like is a challenge that you want to do, instead of going into like 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, you can still utilize that minute interval. Let me start with like 10 seconds on and then 50 seconds off. If you're looking to like, hey, like I genuinely want to really jump rope because this guy says so. Look, if you want to listen to him, he's going to help you stay consistent. That's awesome. I think that's the most important thing. But start at a lower pace. Work your way up to that 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Just be mindful of your overall recovery.
People said it was impossible for me to lose 30 pounds in 6 weeks. So I did it in 5. Here's how. Step 1, the burn. I burn 3,500 to 4,000 calories every day. This is hard, and it takes me several hours in the gym and on cardio. Step 2, the eats. I intermittent fast until 4 p.m. and only eat 1,000 to 1,500 calories a day. It's pure protein, chicken, steak, and protein shakes. Step 3, the deficit. A 2,500 calorie deficit isn't for most, but it works for me and has me losing roughly a pound a day. I've still got my gains, but now I'm a lot leaner. And you know what's funny?
What's wild is, number one, even just from a mathematical standpoint, 2,500 calories wouldn't yield a pound of fat per day.
Dude, he lost
That's
30,
number one.
he lost 30 pounds in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Neil, would you like to start us up?
Okay, client. I would say all right, well, let's look where he's at, you know, in his fitness, in his experience, right? And if you see his body, I didn't really see the video. I just heard the audio, but I don't know where he's at. And
He looks like a Hollister, like, you know, the shirtless models.
Hollister
like, not like,
shirtless
they're not, he doesn't look shredded to the point where he's going to step on stage.
Yeah.
But, you know, he looks very above average. So I'll give him that.
Okay. I think from the, oh, that's him. Oh, I've seen this guy on TikTok. Okay. So he has experience. He's trained in the gym for a while. So a lot of it is like, hey, client, I honestly think like if you want to do this in a 6-week span and lose a shit ton of weight, you can not do it in like 6 weeks. You know what I mean? I mean, why would you do that to yourself? You know what I mean?
No.
And that's like the fastest way that you can lose muscle. You know what I mean? You're going to lose weight, and it depends. Like if you're looking for fat loss or weight loss, right? So if you're looking for fat loss, I'd say slow and steady is the way to go because you're going to keep on muscle. If you're looking for weight loss and you have to, say if you have a wedding coming up or if you have something like a event or maybe vacation, then weight loss, right? Like you want to lose overall weight and you don't really care about muscle, then go for it. You know what I mean? But you're going to end up burning yourself out, and it's just so hard to do. I mean, if that's his job, you know what I mean? If he's going to create content and do that for 6 weeks or 5 weeks straight and just do it to the best of his ability, then I'm sure you can do it, right? But it's going to be so hard, you know what I mean? And it's not going to be longevity. Like you can't do that, you know, for longevity.
Yeah, it's almost like when you see like movie stars or, you know, celebrities, like let's say specifically like Marvel superhero characters, you know, like having these insane body transformations in a very short period of time. You know, what I always tell my clients is like, look, if this is something you want to do and you want to really like have some sort of like results like them, think about their lifestyle and what their job is. Their sole focus and whatever they're doing is dedicated towards this. So like taking 24 hours out of the day, taking literally like, hey, like I'm focused on my sleep, my nutrition, my recovery, my training.
Yeah.
They're treating this like it's their job. It's like as if however much effort you put into your 9 to 5 or whatever you do for a job, that's what they're doing here. And for most people, that is not sustainable.
Not sustainable whatsoever.
You know, it's funny. I actually, one of my other clients actually showed us this TikTok before Eric brought it to us. And she was like, hey, what are your thoughts of this? I'm just like, that sounds like rhabdo waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Rhabdomyolysis, which is basically just the breakdown of muscle protein or muscle tissue, releasing protein into the bloodstream, which is pretty detrimental to your kidneys. And it's not a fun time.
I don't like how he just says like, I just had steak, chicken, protein shake, right? And that was his diet. You know what I mean? His nutrition, like there was no type of like carbs, there was no type of vegetables,
micros, no fats in the, I guess the steak.
But like healthier fats, you know?
Yeah.
It just seemed like it was all protein, and it was kind of like a not keto, but like I don't know, maybe
it's like a carnivore style diet.
Yeah.
That's not something I'd recommend to most people.
Yeah.
And
Actually,
so
anyone.
what if I was a client and I was big on doing this? You know, I really wanted to follow this trend and, you know, try it out for myself. What are some warnings that you might give somebody that really wants to follow him down this path?
Get out of my gym.
Whoa. Honestly, I think the number one thing is understanding that, like, if you're going to put 100% effort into it, then I don't know. I wouldn't shut them down on it, right? But I want to see them. I want to see how they do it, and if they end up succeeding or if they end up failing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if it can be like a lesson. You know what I mean? I wouldn't
How do you
say
think he feels?
who.
Like the guy, like during those 6 weeks. How do you
Honestly,
think
in
he
the
feels?
short term, he probably feels great because he's doing all of this activity. He's cleaning up his diet in the sense of he probably like cut out a lot of like other shit that maybe made him feel terrible. But honestly, like that's in the short term. That's short term kind of feeling. So we have what's called like mesocycles and macrocycles and microcycles, which is just basically like periodization of like fitness. But for him, for example, you're probably going to feel pretty good in like the short term. Probably in the next, like, you know, the reason he only did it for 5 weeks is probably because he felt terrible after the 6 week.
Yeah, I would like to see what he looks like now. You know what I mean? and if you maintained it.
And honestly, he even probably knows. If he's somebody who's been into fitness for a little while, he probably knows this is something that he will sustain for another week if he really wants to try it.
Dude, like, I mean, bodybuilding prep, I was cutting for 18 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was doing it really slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was rough. But I guess for the client, I would just say like, hey, it's not going to be sustainable, one. And if you really want to try this, then we can try it out. But just know I support you, and I can help you out with, you know, if you need help with the nutrition aspect or the training, the program. But your workouts might be a little bit harder. You know, it's gonna be hard for you to recover, and you might feel like shit in the gym, but you might see some results, and maybe your friends, girlfriend, family won't like you for the next 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna be a little bit moody. You know what I mean?
Super moody.
Yeah.
And I think another thing that usually actually like to, when I thought about this, and you know, I'm actually happy that Eric brought up that question of like, hey, like, what would you tell somebody who wants to do this? Like you said, I wouldn't tell them to actually get out of my gym on a serious note.
You said that.
I have, but it was always joking.
Yeah,
It was always like, yeah, get out of here.
Get out of here.
But no, but for them, honestly, like, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of time. When he said 3,500 calories of a caloric deficit, or I'm sorry, burn 2,500 calories of a deficit.
Yeah.
You know, I want people to kind of look at like, hey, like, how long is that actually going to take you in terms of overall cardio and weight training? Like, what is that going to look like? That's probably 3 to 4 hours.
Okay. I'm gonna actually I'm gonna backtrack. I actually wouldn't let my client do that.
Yeah, I hope not.
Yeah, I would never.
Just because, like, think about it. It's like, hey, do you actually have the time to do that? And that's the other thing. It's like,
it's hard though, because you know, you have someone that wants to like lose weight and do that, and they're obviously, as a coach or a trainer, they're paying you, you know what I mean, and they're set on it. Like, you know, how do you tell them like no?
yeah, honestly, like, sometimes that's also why people are paying us to, you know, make the tough decisions. Because a lot of times when we look at it, it's like, hey, the reason that we're talking about this is because the way that we base our coaching and our methodology, it's based on one, anecdotal research from like what we've seen other clients do, just because like, hey, this is what has worked for them. But then two, it's also backed by research studies.
Yeah.
You know, we're not just kind of pulling shit out of our ass and saying, all right, why don't you go do this?
Yeah.
What our thought process comes down to is like, hey, like, we're thinking about XYZ and what is going to happen if XYZ is performed. Yeah, I'm happy that you'd say like you'd really try and push them not to do it.
No, yeah, I would be supportive, but at the same time, it's like, hey, like this, it's not gonna work. You know what I mean? For the long term, you're not gonna be able to maintain this physique or be able to keep up with it if this is your full time. You know what I mean? If this isn't your full time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
All right, guys. If you like what you listened to today, please give us a like, comment, or subscribe, just so that it helps the algorithm and you show your support for the district.
Here's what you need to start doing to lose your first 10 pounds. This is gonna sound super simple, but the good news with that is that you're capable of doing it. Here we go. You're gonna walk for 20 minutes a day. It can be around your neighborhood, on a treadmill, around your apartment, wherever, just get it done. 2, I want you to be lifting weights for at least 30 minutes for 3 times a week. Even if you don't want to get big and bulky, which you won't even if you were lifting more times than that, it's going to help you build and retain muscle as you're losing weight, which helps keep your metabolism running faster so you keep losing weight a lot easier moving forward and keep it off. 3, nutrition-wise, do one of these 2 things, or both if you're feeling ambitious and want to get after it. Either replace one of your meals with a grilled chicken salad, just lettuce, grilled chicken, whatever other veggies you want to throw in there. Try to get some light, lower calorie dressing, and then have a banana or an apple on the side. It's going to help you reduce calories total for the day and help you be in a calorie deficit, and it's going to be filling and pretty tasty. Or keep having literally all the same meals you normally do, but have 3/4 of the portion that you normally have. Eating a whole pizza a day, have 3/4 of it instead. Do that, you'll make progress.
So, so if you basically if you don't eat like a full pizza and you just have 2 slices, you're basically dieting, right?
Yeah. Everything else, I kind of liked what he was saying.
Yeah.
Up until like eating the same thing but only have 2/3, because sometimes people are just well over over their maintenance.
Yeah.
That even 2/3 of what they're eating isn't going to cut it. But overall, like, I don't hate what he said. Actually, you know, we even touched on it earlier. It's like, you know, just walking 20 minutes a day, I think it's going to yield a lot of benefits. You know, the simple things, you know, working out 3 times a week for 30 minutes. But I guess it really depends on the overall level of fitness a certain person's at. I think he's talking to like more so newbies.
Did he say lose 10 pounds in a month, or what was the?
Here's what you need to start doing to lose your first 10 pounds.
First 10 pounds.
First 10 pounds.
You know, okay. I actually really like this.
Yeah.
I actually really like this then.
I like how he says like you can eat the same things and then cut it a little bit, right? The portions.
Yeah.
But even just starting to increase your movement, so walks around around your neighborhood, and then just starting to go to the gym at least more consistently 3 times a week, 4 times a week maybe, and then just being consistent with your eating, like you can lose a good amount of weight just by doing that.
You know, a lot of our clients have been doing something similar to that for the course of most of their time with us, almost a year. And we've seen people lose 30 pounds within the year. So I actually really like this advice. It's super simple. I feel like it's something that most people can do on a regular basis and won't have a lot of trouble doing on, you know, for the long term.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably going to be the most important thing, that level of consistency. Opposed to, you know, who was that Joe Schmo who talked about jumping rope?
You know, I like how he says the first 10 pounds. I think the first 10 pounds are a big marker for some people. And it's just like, oh, wow, like I'm actually losing weight. And, you know, you first see it in your face. You first see it in...
You get motivated
and like your energy levels. You know?
That first 10 pounds is actually what most people see as like, you know, that drop in either pant size, dress size, anything like that. That's typically where most people see themselves actually change clothing sizes.
It's the little things that keep you going.
Yeah. Again, I love the simplicity, you know, like that saying, KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah. I think what I would add to that actually would be take progress pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Take progress pictures.
You know, funny story about that. So, you know how sometimes that whenever I have clients who give me a lot of issues with, you know, filling in like their checklist on Trainerize.
Yeah.
So Trainerize is essentially our overall app that we utilize for a lot of our clients. We're moving away from it, but that's another story for another day. We have a to-do list on a daily basis. So what I actually started doing for my clients who weren't doing those bubbles or that checklist, you know, I'd basically say like, hey, during our session, we're going to do 10 burpees for every single bubble that you missed for the week.
Jesus, 10 burpees.
Yeah, I think Cass got up to like 90 at one point. So we had a few people doing that. The funny thing is, you know, before their body weights and their measurements were really fluctuating a lot over the course of that time.
Yeah.
But, you know, once we kind of got into the habit, they stopped doing burpees and they've been seeing a lot better progress. And the simple reason is because they've been tracking it, they've been more mindful of it, they've been consistent with everything else. And, you know, that's just going to show you don't need to do burpees to lose weight.
What's up, Eric? Next one.
If you're someone that's wanting to lose fat, I'm going to share with you one of the most important fat loss tips that helped me lose 60 kilos. You need to start eating more food. And I know this may sound weird, but let me explain. Everyone knows that you need to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose weight, but that doesn't mean that you necessarily have to eat less food, just less calories. So let me introduce you to something called volume eating, which will make your weight loss journey 10 times easier. Volume eating is when you eat large amounts of foods for less calories. If you focus on low calorie dense, high volume foods, you can actually eat more food for less calories and lose fat without being hungry all the time. Here's a few examples of some low calorie and high volume foods that you can incorporate in your diet, and make sure to follow for more.
Dang, I love that.
I do too. The only thing I would change for people would be lose fat opposed to lose weight. And the reason I say that is because like when you do eat a lot more food, you're simply going to have more overall volume in your, you know, your stomach, your GI system. You're going to be holding it a little longer in the short term before your body starts getting a little more efficient at, you know, metabolizing it, getting it out, and, you know, pushing it through. So the only worry that I would have for some people would be they'd get discouraged because they're like, hey, I'm starting to put on a little weight even though I'm eating more overall volume. Like they may put on another like 3 to 5 pounds.
Yeah.
But besides that, like I love that.
Yeah. I think that's something that I tell most of, you know, all our clients, my clients, and just like, you got to eat more, man.
Yeah.
And then they're just wondering why, like, by the end of their workout or like the middle of the workout, they're just dying. I'm just like, well, what'd you have today? I just had a banana and like two bottles of water. I'm like, bro, what the heck?
You only had 2 bottles of water also?
Yeah.
Has your calf not cramping?
I know.
Like, I don't understand how people go through that.
Dude, I don't know. But I think it's just we're so used to being like, all right, we eat less and then, you know, we should see results. But at the same time, it's like, when you start eating less, then you're not going to be able to build the muscle. You know what I mean? You're not going to be able to recover, and you're not going to have good workouts, you know? So you need to eat more to build more muscle, recover, and have good workouts.
So yeah,
Greens in, man.
I think one of the last things we could end off with is what's some advice you guys would give for fat loss? You got me? Especially for somebody that's beginning and looking for a place to start.
Well, Dan, what's the difference between fat loss and weight loss? I know we talked about it earlier, but
Yeah, so the difference of, you know, when you look at the scale, like weight loss is simply the less overall weight. So that's the combination of skeletal muscle, like just your skeleton in general, and then also body fat and just everything else that's kind of in your body. That's the total weight. That's what you see on the scale. Fat loss would be just the general reduction of actual fat, lipolysis. So just losing body fat, seeing a recomposition in your body, so seeing measurements going down would be a better indication of fat loss.
So then we would explain that to our client or to anyone that is, you know, looking to lose weight or lose fat. And I think the number one thing would be, what is your time frame? So if you're looking to lose 30 pounds in 6 weeks, or if you're just looking to lose the first 10,
Until you get out.
if you're just looking to lose the first 10, then I think some of the advice on those TikToks would help. And I think just try to start moving more, whether it's a walk, whether it's maybe after your workout on the treadmill or in the beginning. If you have a dog, maybe just walk the dog a little bit longer. You know?
Some easy tips.
And then from there, find a program online or hit us up
At teamdistrict.com.
Okay.
Here we got a new URL.
Oh, we got a new URL.
We got a new URL. No big
Wow.
deal.
No
No more
big deal.
dash.
And then find a program that works. You know, I'm sure there are a lot of TikTokers. There are a bunch of fitness influencers that people look at and see what they do. And, you know, give it a college try, you know, see if their program works. If not, if you want something that's catered for you and for your goals, then, you know, we got
Hit
some
us up.
coaches. I know some coaches, you know?
You know where to find us. I guess, Neil, to kind of piggyback on what you were saying, we go through what we call, you know, setting SMART goals. So pretty much exactly what Neil said, but just to kind of condense that idea of just, you know, finding something specific that you're looking to do, something that's going to be measurable in the sense of like, how are you going to actually measure your overall progress? Is it, you know, you want to lose X amount of body fat? How are we going to measure that? Whether it be using calipers, you know, maybe a BIA scale, so something like that where it can measure your body fat. Something that's going to be realistic and attainable. I would not suggest that 30 pounds in 5 weeks. That's not something I would suggest. So something that's going to be realistic, so that you could actually do, and then time sensitive, like you said, or time measurable rather.
Yeah.
So SMART.
And then we got the program down, and then as for nutrition, what are some quick tips?
You know, the rule of thirds. So essentially like making sure that all of your plates have a nice variety of everything. So a good carb, a good fat, a good protein, and I guess real forts. And some greens. So like, get some color on your plates. So that's one of the most important things. I think it's also really helpful for most people to at least like, even if you're not going to do this long term, you know, download some sort of tracker that you can log your food for at least like, you know, a week or something. So you can kind of get a better idea of how much you're actually eating. You know, maybe you're either under eating or eating too much, where at least like, you know, make sure that your nutrition is going to, you know, reflect what your overall goals are. Make sure that you're aware of what you're doing at least.
I couldn't have said it any better.
I like you. And then I guess, you know, the most important thing would probably be like, you know, like surround yourself with like-minded individuals. And we talk about this a lot, you know, having a sense of community, having a sense of like, you know, a group that you can either look up to, allow yourself to be somebody that others look up to hold yourself accountable to a higher standard.
Yeah.
You know, just plug yourself into a group of like-minded individuals, like the district training facility, for example.
Sheesh. Yeah, we got a lot of great people here. And even better, we have a lot of great coaches here too.
Guys, if you enjoyed your content today, to really help us, you know, continue to provide this educational information for you guys, just please, you know, real simple, like, comment, subscribe, plug us on YouTube, let us know if you have it, share us online if you wanted to, if you found some value in this information. But honestly, the most important thing, just hit that little subscribe button down below. I'll see you guys next time.
See you next time.